Hello, hello, everyone. Good morning for people in America. Good afternoon for those on the other side of the world. My name is Genia Gavendo. I'm the managing director for Telefonica Ventures. And for me, it's a pleasure and an honor to be here today and share some of the things that we are doing at Telefonica Tech Ventures and to have the chance to present some of our portfolio companies. So thank you very much. Telefonica Ventures is Telefonica venture capital arm. We invest in companies with which we want to build strategic partnerships. We look proactively for companies that can help us solve the big challenges our industry is facing and help us build new businesses using cutting-edge technology. The areas that we are looking at to invest are telco networks. Of course, Telefonica is a telco. IoT and big data, cloud, and obviously cybersecurity. Cybersecurity is one of the key areas that we have been focusing in the last years, and we will continue to do so in the years to come. We invest directly in startups that we consider strategic, and we also invest in venture capital funds all over the world who are our partners in key ecosystems. Actually, nowadays, we have more than 160 million euros under management. In our portfolio, we include 12 funds in which we are limited partners in Spain, Brazil, and more recently in Silicon Valley in Israel. We also announced last week that we are investing in IoT fund in Brazil, together with Qualcomm Ventures, among other investors. In our direct investments portfolio, we have 25 companies that we are directly invested in, and 14 of them are in cybersecurity. We chose some of them to come here today and share their value propositions and their strategies with you. We are super happy to have been given this opportunity. As a strategic investor, Telefonica look for companies that have a fit with our business units to justify an investment. We want to really be and play the role as of a strategic investor. We want our portfolio companies to work with Telefonica areas, and we only invest with business sponsorships. And because we need these business sponsorships, we usually invest in companies that already have a product market fit. So our business areas can test and work with them and mature the idea until they can be secured that they want to sponsor these investments. In practice, what this means is that we are looking for companies from Series A to Series D. We only take minority investments. We always work with the lead investor, and usually we make an investment together with a commercial partnership agreement. And usually our check sizes, that I know that this is important for all startups, is between 1 and 3 millions, but we can go up to 6 million euros, all in euros. Telefonica also has a seed stage vehicle called Waira, investing all over the world. And we sometimes do follow-ons on some Waira portfolio companies. Some of the companies that you're going to see here today, they were originally invested by Waira. In terms of the opportunity in cybersecurity, we as investors, we see that this market continued to boom. In 2020, venture capital investments in cyber reached around $10 billion, which represents a 25% growth from the previous year. Clearly, cyber is one of the segments that really benefited from the COVID. And it's a much stronger growth than from 2019 to 2019, when the growth was a little bit over 20%. We see also that despite that the amount of money, this increase in amount of money, the number of deals decreased, which means that the deals are getting bigger and bigger. I think this is something that we all have been feeling in the market. And for 2021 onwards, we expect these same trends to continue. We think that we are seeing that the amount of venture capital going to cyber startups continues to grow. I think in Q1, it was over $4.4 billion. and representing a growth of more or less 80% year on year. And the deals continue to be even bigger. And some of the areas that are getting a lot of attention, as we see, are data and access, identity, DevOps, and SASE. And those are the areas that Telefonica is looking for companies that want to work with us and that we can invest. We think this is a win-win proposition. By working with startups, Telefonica has eyes in the future. We say that Telefonica Ventures, Tech Ventures, is a window for the future and for the innovation for Telefonica. And we can complement our product portfolio and offer our clients more innovative and better solutions. And for startups, of course, we hope that we can help them grow. But I think it's better to let them speak by themselves and tell their own stories. So I'm gonna invite first our first company to the stage. It's Smart Protection. This is a Spanish company. And we have here with us today Ignacio Muguido, their Smart Protection's branding director. So Ignacio, the floor is all yours.
Thank you very much, Genia, for your kind introduction. Well, my name is Ignacio. Nice to meet you, and thank you for your attendance. I'm going to share my screen. I think this is it. Just give me a sec. All right. So let me just start with Smart Protection in a nutshell. Basically, what we do is what we monitor and we remove counterfeits, brand abuse, and illegal content. That is basically pirated content through our technology platform. What we do is we aim to minimize the negative impact that those infringements have on our clients' sales and brand reputation. Basically, our commitment or our purpose is to make the internet a safer place by protecting innovation, that is our clients' products, and by protecting creativity, that is our clients' media and live events, where they basically those are the producers that are launching all the contents we consume daily to day, and they are every day pirated. So this is basically our contribution. If we go forward, and this is basically our journey, 5 or 6 years ago, our founders started with anti-piracy software. And it was key for us to start with Wayra. Wayra, as Genia told you, is Telefonica's accelerator, and we were lucky to be selected as one of their global startup ecosystem. In this case, Wayra was very important for us for 3 reasons. The first of all is because we learned the foundations of how to build a solid startup and scale up. This is very important for us. The second thing is that they open us to venture capital. Specifically, even Wayra invested in us. And the third part that is very important is that they opened our relation with Telefonica as a future client, as a partner, and as a new investor. At that point, it was interesting that Antonio Banderas was one of our first clients, and we started protecting one of their movies because he's an actor and also a producer. And this basically, apart from Wayra, this actor opened us a new window for new clients, and our window for Hollywood producers and big companies. So from that point on, what we had the chance is to improve our technology by improving our efficiency, automation, about including machine learning and artificial intelligence. In that process, that gave us a lot of speed by being with Wayra, of course, and that gave us opportunity to start developing our brand protection and life protection services that I will tell you later. At that point, we started protecting or working with Movistar, that is the media platform of Telefonica, with their own movies, TV series, live events, and especially with plenty of exclusive content they needed to protect. It was very important for us because this is like one of our huge clients. 2 or 3 years ago, what we've been doing is we've been developing our new business units, especially our growth in brand protection and being scaling up. At this point is when we started partnership with Telefónica Tech, and in this case, integrating our capabilities with 11 paths as part of their cybersecurity products. This was very important because connecting together, this started to be a very successful partnership. And from that point on, what we've been is scaling up, especially we had last year our Series B funding round with 10 million with Telefónica Tech Ventures as one of the key investors. So as you can see, basically we've been connected with Telefónica, and in this case Telefónica Tech, from when we started, and this is something that has been really, really important for our success. So now we can share with you that we are a global and diverse company. We are lucky to have more than 200 customers that rely on us with their online assets around 25 countries, and we're happy to have a diverse team of 150 employees. We started to grow, and Guaira wasn't big enough to cope with so many Smarties, as we call ourselves, and we have more than 20 nationalities. So we're a proud Spanish company, but basically we're global and diverse, and we really aim to be one of the market leaders in brand and content protection. If we have to introduce what we do, is basically we have two business units. One is a brand, and the other is content. This is because our customer profiles are quite different in the two business units, and our go-to-market it's pretty different. But our core technology basically has the same core. So brand protection is about protection of products or brand online, and content protection is about keeping your live events and channels safe. And VOD protection, it's every day-to-day movies that you can watch, TV series or TV programs. If we go forward, basically what we do, how we do it is in 3 steps. The first step is to track mentions, to track possible infringements by capturing and storing a large amount of information about our clients. The second part that's very important is using AI. We analyze and classify those information, and we use the skills of our cybersecurity experts. This is very important because step 1 and step 2 together gives a lot of value to our clients. It's not only about enforcing, it's about knowing what's happening with your brand online. It's about taking full control of what's happening with your brands and with your contents. And the third part is basically about enforcement. It's about legal tech technology, so we could rapidly remove infringements within marketplaces, social networks, and Google, automatizing every single step. So where we look, or what are the monitors or the digital channels that we monitor? If we go from right to left, you will find that basically it's about search engine and web streaming, and then third is key to be part. We are the few of the members of the Google Trusted Copyright Removal Program. Being one of these Trusted Removal Program members gives us a lot of speed by removing and a lot of efficiency. It's about connecting or having this trust with Google. So whenever we notify there's an infringement, Google very rapidly deletes the infringement. If we go to the social networks, basically it's where pirates use social media to promote their assets. So what we do with social networks, we work close to them. So when we notify them that there's someone, it could be even an influencer that is sharing a counterfeit product, we directly notify, and they remove directly the posting. And then there's the marketplaces. The marketplaces, they've been working in developing their own tools to eliminate counterfeits. What we do is that we connect with them. We have this legal tech technology where we could notify quickly, and they remove the illegal content. So it's about working with these 3 layers. I automatize with being more automate and being more close to them to generate those procedures as quick as possible. And basically, we've managed to do over 12 million illegal URL delisted. One thing that is very important is our dashboard. As we're doing real-time monitoring, it's not only about the listing, about enforcing, it's about knowing what's going on with your brand. It's about taking full control of what's happening. So every time our clients connect to our tool, what they will find is in real time where specifically what location are they having these counterfeits, what type of infringement, what type of channels, and they basically see how they could basically choose what the infringement they want to remove, or we could do it directly for themselves and having about monthly reports. This is very important because they need to know in real time what's happening about things that they really can control. And so just to finish, I just wanted to share with you like 6 points where we add value to our customers. It's about controlling your distribution. It's about controlling to give our clients the ability to know what's happening with the distribution, both the legal or the illegal distribution in product or content. It's about process automation. It's about giving them features that could reduce the timing of all their internal process, especially the ones that are connected with IP rights enforcement. It's about helping the legal team or the marketing team to remove it as quick as possible. It's about brand reputation. That is very important. I mean, the impact that counterfeits have in a product that, for example, is starting in a new market, it's really, really very important, because the customers, now that they're having these kind of issues, they really feel that they're being that there's a fraud around their products, and they don't currently know that it could be a counterfeit, or it could be a real or original product. If we go to the next part, it's about giving a better brand value. Imagine if you delist 3 or 4 products that are counterfeits in the first search page of Google. It's about having the value of your presence higher. And of course, it's about reducing and minimizing the piracy, so it would boost your sales and revenue. So this is basically what we do in smart protection, and thank you for your time.
Hi, thank you very much, Ignacio. Very interesting, and I think protecting brand and content, it's something that any company is worrying nowadays, especially with this all growth and boom of the e-commerce. So the next company, I would like to invite Roberto Velasco from HDIV. He is the co-founder and CEO. Hi, Roberto.
Hi. Thanks for having us. My name is Roberto Velasco. I am the CEO and the co-founder of HDIV. So today we are gonna talk about application security. So let me share my screen. Okay. So let's start from the beginning. Obviously, we are talking about cybersecurity topics, but in our case specifically, we are involved in application security. So probably you are aware that one important point or significant entry point in current data breaches, it's application security. For instance, in that case, we have a reference from Verizon that 43% of data breaches come from this kind of issues. So basically, it's a huge problem that we have in the software developed by customers and companies. If we analyze the problem behind that reality, we see that basically we have 2 types of issues. Okay. First of all, we have what we call syntax issues. We are talking about problems that follow a specific pattern, issues like SQL injection, cross-site scripting, that are exactly the same in any kind of application. So the idea it's exactly the same. And on the other hand, we have other 50% of problem that we can, they are known as business logic flows or design flows. We can define as semantic issues that in that case, we are talking about specific problems of each domain, okay, of specific problems of each applications. For instance, we can talk about issues of access control, an access control issue. For instance, an e-banking application enforcing that each user only access to the data of each user. These kind of problems are specific to the domain, right? So basically, taking those two typologies, let's see how current solutions try to solve that problem, right? So let's start with the syntax issues and the detection. In that case, basically, in the state of the art, we have two kind of solutions. We have a static application security testing solutions or source code analyzers, and we have as well dynamic application security testing solutions or web scanners. Okay. Basically, they have been historically used by developer teams in the case of SAST and security teams in the case of DAST, and we see very clear pain points in each solution. In the case of SAST, the principal pain point is the false positive. Okay, the number of false positive in this kind of solutions is very high, and it requires people to clean those false positive. Okay, so it's not easy to automate those processes. On the other hand, when we analyze the DAST, dynamic application security testing solutions, we have the opposite problem. In that case, regarding false positive, they usually works correctly. They don't generate false positive usually, but the problem is that the accuracy level, the detection level, it's low. Okay, so basically, in summary, even though it's possible to detect syntax issues with this kind of solutions, we have very clear pain points. Okay. Regarding the protection, the most important represented in that case is the WAF, the web application firewall solutions. Basically, we have two kind of products in that field. We have blacklist-based or whitelist-based. But in any case, regarding syntax issues, the most important problem is based on the false positive that it presents. Okay. Basically, because of the external or perimeter-based approach, they usually generate a false positive. Okay, so in summary, even though they offer some value, they present very important pain points or problems, right? That's regarding the syntax issues. Let's move now to the semantic issues. The first idea that we see in that part is that, unfortunately, we don't have any kind of solutions to detect those issues. The reason behind that is very simple. The issues are specific to each domain, okay? That's why there is no any tool to detect them, and that's why we need people to detect them, right? So we need to basically to perform manual pen testing to detect them, right? So we have a huge hole in that part, okay? Moving to the protection of that typology, we see that in the best case, the WAF based on whitelisting or learning processes can protect from partially at least from those issues. But the problem that they face usually are the false positive, and also that they are not able to protect all the attacks. Okay, the problem with false positive basically is based on the algorithm used by those solutions. They use learning processes. The applications change constantly, so they are not able to differentiate between a change in the application and an attack, right? So in the end, it generates a lot of false positives. So it's very uncommon to see this kind of whitelisting solutions working in production, okay, in blocking mode. It's not very common, right? So in summary, state-of-the-art solutions, they are not solving properly the application security issue, and that's why we have that amount of data breaches in that area. Okay. From the deployment perspective, the solutions that has been out there till now, they use like an external approach. I mean, you have the application and you have external tools that analyze or protect the applications. In the case of HDIV, we use a different or a totally different approach. In that case, we are software-based. We are integrated within the software, within the applications. So we have full visibility about what's happening inside. Okay, so thanks to that visibility and that analysis of the behavior, we are able to improve the accuracy and the capabilities offered by our solutions. So what we are offering in HDIV, basically we offer two kinds of products. We have, first of all, HDIV detection, that it's a product to detect the security bugs. We explain it later before that these kind of solutions can be detected. So the value of HDIV is that we solve that accuracy problem. I mean, we don't generate false positive and we detect all the problems. Additionally to that, we simplify the purchase process. In that case, instead of buying two solutions, with one solution, you can cover all the security needs. On the other hand, you have continuous vulnerability detection. There is no any gap in the time. We are continuously detection because we are in all the executions of the applications. And finally, we are analyzing the whole application. Okay. Till now, with the source code analyzer, you only are analyzing your code, but not the binaries used by your application, right? In our case, thanks to the Alias approach that we are using, we are able to analyze 100% of the application. Okay. On the other hand, we have HDIV protection that use a RASP approach, runtime application self-protection approach. In that case, it's a software-based solution as well. And we can improve the protection of syntax issues. I mean, thanks to our visibility inside the applications, we can improve that accuracy, avoiding the traditional false positive of WAS solutions. And regarding the semantic issues, we use a unique approach. Instead of using learning processes, in our case, we implement a real-time whitelisting process where we are creating like a contract enforcement approach where we are defining what is allowed by each application for each specific user. And thanks to that approach, we avoid the false positive of the traditional solutions, and we can reach a high level of security. Okay, so in summary, using a new way of deploying security, we can improve the existing typology of application security solutions. Okay. And finally, comment as well what we are doing with Telefonica. In our case, we are working with Telefónica Tech, working with them directly. They are offering services, and they use as well our product portfolio. So we are collaborating with them in many projects. Okay. So once we have seen HDIV product portfolio, let's see a couple of examples to give you an overview about how it works in practice. Okay, so let's start with the detection product first, using it in the development environment. So in that case, we are testing an application, and in the bottom of the screen, we can see a toolbar where we are showing the vulnerabilities that we are detecting in real time. Okay, so when we are running the application, we are able to detect the vulnerabilities. It's not necessary to perform any request, only just regular browsing, right? So let's see one example. In that case, we have a vulnerability, and unlike traditional solutions, in that detection solution, we can see the dynamic view of the vulnerability, the URL and the parameter, okay, and the file and the line of the issue in the same view. Okay, so we have the static and the dynamic view in the same tool in order to understand which is the source of the problem. Okay, from this view we can move to the code in order to solve the vulnerability. So we can click there and move to the code, so the developer can fix the issues there once we have detected them. And even that information that it's detected during the development, if we have as well an additional web console, a centralized web console, where we can see all the vulnerabilities detected by HDIV in any kind of infrastructure. It could be development environment, QA, and even production, right? So the same information that we have shown before, we can see now within the the web console. Okay, so it's like a centralized view of all the vulnerabilities that we are detecting within an organization. Okay, so that's regarding detection product. So let's move now to a protection product. In that case, we are gonna see an example of business logic flows protection. We activate HD protection, and let's see a very common business logic flows or design flows attack. In that case, we have an e-banking application, we have a URL, and in that URL, we have an account number, right? So you know that the customer, any kind of customers, they can change everything within the browser. So in that case, the hacker is gonna change that value, put in another account number, okay, changing the URL. And when we try to access, HD blocks the attack, okay? That's thanks to the real-time whitelisting process that we have shown previously. So we are able to know that the customer is breaking the contract offered by the application, and we block the attack, okay? I mean, we are not able to say, hey, within your code, you have a business logic flow issue, that's impossible to do, but we can protect against those issues, okay? So that's the value, the unique value offered by HDIF regarding this typology of issues. Okay, so that's it from my side.
Thank you very much, Roberto.
Thank you. Bye.
Our next company is a company from the UK, FCase, and we have here Barry Bones, COO and co-founder, to share and present. Thank you. Welcome, Barry.
Thank you very much. Just share my screen. Okay. Hello, everyone. So today I'm going to be talking about fraud and the rise of fraud. We all experience fraud, especially over the last year. Actually, fraud over the last year has grown 12%. And actually, over the last decade, it's grown over 60%. The reality is, the more digital services we have, the more fraud we have, the more attack vectors available for fraudsters. So, in essence, the problem that we are solving here at FCase is fraud operations are really struggling to keep up. They have huge amount of alerts and investigations, compliance, reporting, audit, accountability, and they just have too much data. It's incredibly complex, and they are drowning in data in reality. So I'm Barry Bowen, and over the next 10 minutes, I'll be focusing on the single view of fraud and the benefits of that. So we've all received this type of information, these text messages and the telephone calls and the emails that are trying to entice us to share our information online. Hey, I'm from HMRC, please click on the following link. I'm from, for example, a fitness studio, please share your information. And the more information they can get from you, the more they understand, the more they can attack you. Now, organizations protect themselves. We know that. They protect themselves very, very well. And the type of defenses that they have are significant. But the reality is this education is not so great. And even the most technology, let's say, hardened fraud expert can be fooled by fraudsters. So we need to be awake and be very, very aware of these type of tricks that fraudsters are doing on us every single day. And they come from all over the planet. So the reality is, fraud defenses that are applied, and taking this example of a bank, typically starts with, from the top to bottom, kind of KYC, know your customer, and the identity piece. And this is when we're applying for a credit card or a service, or new to, you know, a bank or telecommunications or insurance company or healthcare. We typically have to prove who we really are. And then once we're a customer, our journey starts, where we start using the service with a company. And they have things like malware and phishing and kind of bot detection software. But they also use lots of other software that we're not familiar with. For example, like behavioral analytics or biometrics. The analytics is just kind of detecting, is that Barry using his mobile phone? Does it look like, Barry's right-handed? Is this person a left-hand person using the phone? This is suspicious. And then there's things like device ID, kind of just checking that, the information on my phone, the configuration, the apps, the usage is correct based on my typical usage. All of these things are kind of to prove your identity, to prove that your devices are clean. And then when we start using the services, event transaction monitoring is used. And even when we call contact services, voice biometrics or even customer services will ask us those great questions. What's the second, the fifth, and the eighth character of your password? The ones that we always forget. The reality is this is a lot of defenses that organizations apply. And typically, these defenses are repeated across country. Okay, so that's an important thing. So some companies can end up with 50, 60, or over 100 different types of fraud systems within an organization. So here's the problem. These systems produce their own data. They're fragmented. They work independently. And fraudsters do not work independently. They work together. They share information. They buy and sell information on the dark web. They have a huge amount of information on us, our credit card, our password, our online details, our date of birth, our mother's maiden name. They know a lot about us, and they use this information to basically commit fraud. And these defenses are independent defenses, not working together. This is what we do. We basically make these systems work together. So when they work independently, it presents an opportunity for fraudsters to slip through the gaps. They attack maybe in the phishing side and end up in the customer services side. No one knows between the different departments that the attack is occurring across different divisions. The reality is all of this data across different systems delivers extreme inefficiencies. It also reduces customer experience. We don't like our card being blocked for any reason, especially when it's the incorrect reason, which is known as kind of a false positive. So the reality is each one of these systems produces its own data. And when it produces that data, some of that data generates an alert. Now, sometimes automatically that is dealt with the fraud system or defense system. And then some other times it's then, let's say, presented by a fraud investigator to investigate the case physically. And the reality is, in this scenario we're seeing on the left-hand side, we're seeing a typical attack from a fraudster. Now, this attack could be, for example, a fraudster's installed some malware on your device, typically via a phishing email we've clicked on. Their defenses within the bank has detected a different behavior pattern on their device. We think it's a different user. And the transaction that customer's just done on that device, maybe they've logged on to online banking and they've transferred money from one account to maybe another bank. It's a suspicious transaction. Maybe it's a very large amount, or maybe it just needs more investigation. Also, later on in that day, the customer has phoned customer services, or is it the fraudster? But either way, their voice was different, so they failed. This is 4 events. And typically these events are dealt with in serial, independently, not together. At FCase, we see this as a threat. So 4 events joined together is the threat. Then we see the full picture. We know what the fraudster's doing. So currently customers are evaluated by each event, which can cause false positives. For example, if there's a malware attack, we could switch off the usage for that customer. We could maybe pause their usage within their service. This is not great. But if you see multiple attacks together, you could make an appropriate decision. Actually, in the fraud industry, data silos are great for fraudsters. It's actually known as data silos are a fraudster's best friend. And that's how most of the banks in the world are operating. Think of a castle, an old castle from years ago, had a wall all the way around the castle. Well, in fraud, it's a wall with lots of gaps, and fraudsters slip through those gaps. So, with data silos, you are not able to basically have clear roles and responsibility, accountability across all those divisions, because each one of those fraud systems has its own team. And each one of those teams is responsible for their portion of their defense. But there's no accountability across all of them. This is really difficult from a compliance perspective, data structure, audit, reportability, and extreme inefficiencies caused by this data being segmented and separated. So introducing FCase, we are the final fraud layer, the central intelligence, investigation, automation, and reporting. In simple terms, we basically enable a connection to all of those great systems that form a defense, but we are the final defense, bringing them together, unifying them in a term called fraud orchestration. The first part of orchestration is to develop automation. And one of the reasons we want to develop automation is basically to reduce repetition. Fraud investigators are expensive, and there's many of them. Nearly every bank in the world are increasing fraud investigators as fraud increases across their network. So the very first thing is around about 40% of every fraud investigator's time is repetitive tasks. What we're seeing in the screen here is a screenshot of FCase and robotic processing automation. We have the ability to reduce repetitive tasks, to conduct tasks during and after an event. Say a fraud investigator is working on a fraud case and they close the case down. We might update another system. We might send an SMS to the customer. We are reducing the workload that a fraud investigator needs to do. We also have the ability to reduce false positives across all of the different fraud systems that coexist. We also have the ability to enable auto decisioning. And this is a key element in all fraud, because auto decisioning is not happening today until FCase across all of these great fraud systems. Now we can combine different alerts / risk signals and basically apply decisioning. So on the right-hand side, we have a decision based on the condition across multiple systems. Trust here is a malware system. BioCatch, for example, is a behavioral change system. InAuth is a kind of a device ID system. Is this my device? Is it my setup? And we have flexible conditions. This is codeless. There is no code required. It's all drag and drop. It works in real time. It improves fraud investigations. It reduces fraud. It also enables a better experience for the customer. It's a win for an organization to basically have this kind of setup. This is extremely flexible and it works within the customer's journey and also after the customer's journey, improving the whole experience. But that's not just it. Within FCase, we have something called threat-centric cases. Instead of working on individual cases where I might have 10 alerts, it doesn't matter. But if they're connected in some way, we bind them together by threat, but not individual alert. This basically creates common cases, threat storylines, and a customer view. It means fraud investigators can work on a fraud case or any other alert or alerts in literally 1 or 2 minutes at max, instead of 10, 20, 30 minutes. Again, reducing the overload in fraud investigations, attacking the fraudsters, stopping the fraudsters get through the gaps, and literally improving the ultimate customer's journey. There is no research needed in these threat-centric cases. We present a timeline of all of the fraud and all of the risks, including transactional data. So we know the attack. We know what the fraudster's doing. Furthermore, to enable sufficient and effective fraud investigations, we have advanced link analysis. Now, this link analysis tells us who transferred money from where to who. Alternatively, in a telecommunications environment, who called who at what time, and then who called someone else. The reality is this link analysis can apply to any data set across any entity, being credit card, location, IP address, IMEI, mobile number, whatever you wish. So not just one link analysis, but link analysis on any data set, further improving the overall performance of fraud investigations. At the same time, aiding audit, accountability, and also helping compliance. So with FCase, we can answer these questions. And these are the most important questions that fraud divisions try to answer. How do we become efficient? How do we get a single source of the truth? Do we have structure? And this structure gives you a centralized APIs. So you have the ability to ask FCase any question at any time. How many cases do I have? How much money am I losing? How much money am I saving? What are the biggest risks within my organization? And with central investigations and a unified fraud risk appetite on top, this is the ultimate tool for the superstar fraud investigations teams. Once they have a tool like this, they completely fly. Fraud is reduced, customer services increases, and efficiency is the most important thing within the organization. So with that, I would just like to finally say FCase is the home of fraud operations. We've been working with Telefonica now for tech for around about a year and a half. We're working on several very exciting projects around the globe to deliver centralized fraud operations. And with that, I conclude. Thank you very much. And I hand it back over to Gawani. Thank you.
Thank you, Barry. Thank you very much. As an end user and a consumer, we feel safer knowing that there are companies that are using solutions like FCase. So the next company, it's a company originally from Argentina. Its name is View Security. And I would like to welcome Sebastián Estraniere, the co-founder and CEO, to share their solution here today with us. Welcome, Sebastián.
Hi, Genia. How are you? Thank you for this huge opportunity. And thanks, Telefonica, also, and the RCA for giving us this space. I'm Sebastián Estraniere, CEO of VU, CEO and founder of VU. As a technology company, we always talk about the future and about innovation. But a year ago, the world that we know was closed. We made to live in the future, we always talk about, and we was being really prepared. The problem about cybersecurity was the same that we come talking from the last at least 10 years: identity theft, fraud prevention and behavior analytics, like FCase mentioned, and also identity theft and biometrics, like deepfakes and the other kind of use cases that we are facing right now. So I want to invite you to think, how would this past year have been if we have digital signature working? How many industries and stores could remain open if this technology that we spent a lot of years talking about was really prepared? And what about remote identification as a standard? How many travelers that got stuck their goods waiting to an identity verification process at their homes? And how many governments could have been delivering the social benefits without taking hundreds of people outside helping with the contagion? At VU, we help with that type of use case, and on top of it, we help companies to create a digital identity. I feel as a specialist in this area that digital identity was underrated in the past year. So today, everybody, every company, and any government agency or educational institutions need to think about how they are prepared for this accelerated digital transformational process in terms of digital identity. This is why we partner with Telefonica, and we received the support from Telefónica Tech Ventures to go worldwide with this company and with this technology. As Genia told, we have been based in Argentina, but we have operations in more than 30 countries. And the most relevant thing about cybersecurity and about this last year was about the reputation. Because when you are face-to-face with the customers, you can tell more about an incident. You can learn and teach your customer what is happening. But today, with 100% operation, it's almost impossible to change the dropout option that the user has in a remotely environment. So at BU, we are really good in three things. We create biometrics around face biometrics, voice biometrics, device fingerprint, and fingerprint biometrics. And we created a strong liveness detection system that is proveness and has an assessment for iBeta. It's a worldwide method to assess the ability to create the liveness process. So each one of our tools can be integrated by a microservices or an API from any kind of digital channels. Also, we have the ability to detect documents from any country, IDs, passports, or any kind of documents that a company needs, and we can know if that document is real or it's a fake. And then we can also help you in terms of identity protection, multi-factor authentication, user authentication with push by email, or any kind of multi-channel ability to give you the way to identify or authorize an access from a user. And finally, but not least, fraud prevention. It's about how this behavior of the user, identity, the devices, and geolocation are correlated. So we have an engine that works as a backend for financial institutions, fintechs, education, healthcare, and also with telcos and government to check if all the behavior of a user match their profile. So we have the ability to determine if there is a predictive type of behavior of the user, or if there is something that is stealing their identity online. And then we talk about every time about users and passwords and identity and access management. But the real thing is that digital identity, it's not about the user and password. It's about how we can have a one point of view of each citizen, how we become one, how we get one only version of Genia, one only version of Sebastian inside our digital identity system. As FCase mentioned, there are different kinds of silos of identity, and we have the technology to centralize that and give you the ability to understand how you interact with the digital identity of your users. Basically, we put the citizen in the middle of the core of our system, and we give you the ability to connect, know your customer's technique, ID identification, geolocation, and device recognition to create an intelligent behavior analytics system from the point of view of a company. As BU was founded more than 10 years ago, we have now great partnerships with Telefonica and also with Microsoft to give our customers the best of breed technology in terms of implementation infrastructure, in terms of cybersecurity. We have more than 170 customers worldwide, and we have teams in more than 30 countries. So we are here to help you in each implementation of use cases that we have. And some of these examples are Visa, for example, uses our technology to identify each device used by their customers every time they made the transaction. and also Prisma Medio de Pagos in Argentina, uses technology developed by BU to provide a multi-factor authentication, biometrical engine, and transactional tokenization tool for each one of their digital businesses. And also Falabella uses it across the region for both the bank and the retail stores to have a one point of view of each citizen inside their business. And we have a great case in Spain working together with Telefonica, with a government agency, where we integrated BU for digital onboarding for employees, and we secured all the VPN and external connections with our multi-factor authentication system. To support these operations and to give you more confidence about what we are doing in conjunction with Telefonica, we deal with the most relevant standards worldwide. We are members of the FID Alliance, the Open Connectivity Tech Accord. We have a SOC 2 certification in process. So we are here to help you to give more with cybersecurity. We are a company based in the customer success. We are highly oriented in terms of product, and we are trying all the time to be beyond the state of art in terms of technology. So I want to thank you to Telefonica to give us the ability to create more value through our purpose that improve the citizen's life through cybersecurity solutions. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Sebas. So we are halfway through our show, and the next company we have here today is Nozomi Networks, and Chris Grove is gonna tell us about what Nozomi does. Chris is Nozomi's product evangelist. Hi, Chris, welcome.
Thank you very much, Kenya. Thank you, Telefónica Tech, for having us here today. Telefónica Tech is a core global strategic partner of ours, and this partnership helps organizations get access and meet their needs for best-of-breed cybersecurity products that integrate with Telefonica's managed security services and other platforms. And Telefonica has played a key role for our tier one organizations, especially in Iberia and Latin America. And they're having a huge impact in our go-to-market strategy and our positioning and capabilities in a lot of other regions as well. So first, thank you very much, Telefonica, for having us here today. We wanted to talk about Nozomi Networks and what we solve in the marketplace. First, let's begin by looking at what the problems are that a lot of the organizations in the cybersecurity space are tackled with trying to solve. And as you can see from this chart, a lot of these cyber attacks and the cost of these incidents has drastically gone up over time. And they are very large numbers and nothing to be ignored. In fact, the average cost for a cybersecurity incident is currently at about $1.7 million. And some of these incidents, is even the most recent one that you've probably heard about a lot on the news, is the Colonial Pipeline incident and the dark side ransomware operators. Ransomware alone has an average payment right now of about $850,000. And the demands have gone up as high as $50 million have actually been paid before. And Colonial paid about $5 million. But the total cost is still to be determined because there's a lot of other damages involved. So when we talk about cybersecurity incidents and cybercrime in particular, the cost of these incidents go up very high. But if we're talking about operational technology, then we have a whole nother factor besides just the costs, and that is the human impact. And sometimes with operation technology, which is different than IT. So OT is about controlling robotics and factory devices and pipelines, for example. And they have a human impact involved because the physical world can't be controlled the same. And sometimes that could have safety implications, or as we saw in the Colonial Pipeline incident, it could even impact our ability to obtain supplies. So that's what Nozomi Networks tries to tackle, is this huge amount of cybersecurity incidents that are happening, not just in industrial facilities, but all over various spaces. And we've been around for a few years now. We've had our relationship with Telefonica throughout some of this. Back in 2013, we were the first artificial intelligence-based industrial control system cybersecurity solution to the market. In 2015, we were the first national power grid security solution deployment. We were the first one to secure a full national power grid. And then in 2017, we were the first to market with a single application that allows you to see all the asset visibility as well as vulnerability information about those assets and monitoring the network as well. And you can see throughout the past few years, we've had lots of other first to market stuff. We've most recently in 2020 introduced a cloud product that enables companies to skip the whole deployment phase of a product and immediately take advantage of using a cloud product to leverage cybersecurity in an OT environment or IoT. So we've been first to market with many different products, and essentially a lot of them have tackled some very complex problems that we don't necessarily see in the IT side. And I'll get to that in just a moment. But how we get to market is also very important for us. We have a global footprint right now, and we have 3,400 or more installations that we are able to learn from. We see a variety of different devices out there and different things that are happening. So we leverage that information to make our product better. And we're monitoring currently about 44 million devices that we're able to see and learn about the characteristics and behaviors of these devices. And we're currently scalable across 6 continents in the world right now. So we have a lot of different sectors and spaces around the world that are using our product currently. And we are able to do this deployment alongside partners like Telefónica Tech with our network of over 1,000 certified Nozomi Networks engineers. So we work closely with our partners to make sure there's an ecosystem of people out there that are able to work with our product in the customer sites, because working with industrial technology is quite different than the information technology. So currently Nozomi Networks has customers in 9 out of the top 20 oil and gas companies, 7 out of the top 10 pharmaceuticals, 5 of the top 10 mining, and 5 of the top 10 utilities. And these companies, these sectors may seem very different, but they actually have a lot in common. In fact, if you look across what operations technology covers, it covers the gamut in terms of sectors that aren't really considered IT. So if you think about a company, they may have a headquarters and a data center. They may have a DR center and some cloud estate, but they may also have hundreds of factories all over the world. Each one of them has its own internal little IT department. And then the operations technology that runs all of these different devices in the industrial enterprise are quite different than IT. The brands are different. The protocols are different. The processes that we use to manage them are different. For example, we can't just simply go and patch a device that can't be patched. Sometimes they are part of a large project, like if you were to purchase a power generation facility or a dam or a railway system, you can't go in with a patch and simply apply it to a system like that. You have to work with the vendor, and in some cases, the whole system needs to be replaced. Also, the life cycle of IT, when we deploy a server or an asset into the cloud, it could be minutes, sometimes days, weeks. It's not very long. But the life cycle of OT technology can be decades. So we typically deploy something and it stays there. And in many cases, they're also built insecure by design. And that poses its own set of challenges. So we can't add things like virus scanning and firewalls and other types of stuff to the actual devices. So we're sort of forced into accepting that risk in a way and finding other ways to mitigate it. And the same technologies are prevalent in all these different sectors: the chemical engineering plant, the chemical production facility, and making cereal or running a railway system may have the same make model of an industrial controller. And the brands are quite different. We're talking about ABB, Honeywell, Siemens, Yokogawa, Rockwell and not companies that we would typically discuss like HP, Dell, Microsoft, etc. So the IT tools that the cybersecurity teams would typically use don't work well in industrial environments. And the last thing you want is someone to come in with a scanner and start scanning a system in OT and then accidentally take it down. I wouldn't want to be on that train or at that airport, basically. So we have to be very delicate, and we have to approach this problem a lot differently than typical IT approach. And then we have another aspect, which is the devices that you'll find. The unmanageability of these devices simply because they are not a patchable and a manageable operating system. They could be industrial sensors that are monitoring boxes going by, lasers measuring temperatures, control center panels. There could be engineering workstations and all kinds of valves and motors, cameras, all kinds of sensors, weight plates, you name it, there's a device for it. And all of these things end up working together to make these newer types of industrial environments work faster and more automated and in a much quicker fashion. So the problem is getting worse because we're adding more and more technology with the same problem, and more networking is also involved in all this. So what we do is leverage our customer base to learn what these challenges look like, what type of equipment they're working with, what the protocols look like, and we build a product that brings cybersecurity into these environments where it was more difficult or not there before. And we do this through product innovation. I'll get to that in just a moment. And we also heavily leverage our partner network. And that has a big influence on how we get to market and are successful in working with our customers. So what we do for our customers that is different than what your typical IT solutions will be able to bring for them is we can give visibility in areas where they didn't have any before. So as I mentioned, there's a lot of different proprietary manufacturers that you'll find in industrial environments. So we offer a specialized tool that enables them to get very deep into those protocols and see exactly what's going on inside of those protocols. So if we see an anomaly on a network where a machine typically spins at 100 RPM, and we saw a command go to it that says go to 125 RPM, and that is out of the ordinary, we can generate alerts on that and let the operators know that, hey, something happened, regardless of where it happened from. It might have been an operator that fell asleep on the keyboard and accidentally left a few zeros in there. It could be a cyber attack. It could be a mistake in the code. All of those risks could have the same impact, which is an unsafe condition for a human that's operating near that robot, or some kind of a chemical explosion or something like a derailment, etc. So it's very important to understand everything that's going on these networks, and that's what we're providing our customers. Also, being able to detect cyber attacks, things that we know about, signatures that we can match, behaviors that shouldn't be there. Maybe we see someone tampering with a device from across the internet or from a room where they usually don't come from. We can see reconnaissance activities of ransomware and other malware type attacks. And then finally, being able to see across all of those hundreds or thousands of different factories and being able to have a single pane of glass from which to look at the entire security estate, track risks, do threat hunting, and basically reduce the consequences of something bad happening, like a piece like ransomware hitting the environment, for example. And what we offer our customers as far as our solutions go is first Guardian. That's our main flagship product. That's the sensor and the brain of everything. And we have some customers that run multiple Guardians. And so we offer them a 3-tier architecture, or they could do a 1-tier, or they could do a 2-tier, but it all starts with Guardian. And if you have nooks and crannies of the network that are difficult to get into, for example, industrial areas where you need a DIN rail mountable or ruggedized stuff, or in other areas like more on the IoT or IT areas where we can deploy using container, virtual, or multiple cloud options. And being able to get into all those areas, we have remote collectors which gather traffic and bring it back. And then if you have a larger estate, then you can do the central management console, which enables you to monitor and control across the entire factory or across multiple factories. And then regardless of how many tiers you have, we have Vantage, which is a software as a service platform where you simply log into that cloud platform and then you can see all of the information across, no matter how many guardians you have, no matter how many assets are being monitored in the environment. And then we have some technology extensions that we offer to our customers. One of them is called Smart Polling, where we're able to query devices and get more details about them. We also have Asset Intelligence, where we are able to understand what these devices look like when they're behaving normally so that we can pre-train the anomaly detection engine to know what they're supposed to, what their blueprint is supposed to be before they're on the network or before they start to behave strangely. This prevents false positives and prevents bad things from being trained into the anomaly detection engine. For example, if I have a device that's already infected and I bring Nozomi networks in and plug them in afterwards, you don't want to learn that bad behavior. What you would want is alerts telling you that this violates the asset intelligence behavior model. So right away, you're able to identify things that are out of the ordinary. And then we also have a threat intelligence feed that goes to our customers, and it keeps them up to date on all of the latest threats and everything that's going on out there. And some of our strengths are we are large scale. We deployed our first customer was large scale. We typically do very well in those environments. And that's because of the things that I've already brought up, as well as our not having to deploy agents and the central management. We're also very fast to deploy. Customers that we work with and our partners are very happy with how easy it is to set up our product and plug it in, and their end customer gets instant value out of what they see. We also monitor everything all the time. Everything that goes by the wire, we're getting into deep packet inspection on those protocols. And then we also have, like I mentioned, many platforms to deploy on. And we know this is a team sport. Cybersecurity is an ecosystem, and we have to live among other products and work with other products there. And so what we do is participate in various capacities, and we're able to do things like take an active automated security response by sending messages to SOAR products or SIM products. We can also send messages to things like ServiceNow to open cases on stuff or to get information about assets. We work with other products. So our partnerships are very important to us, particularly the Telefonica one. And we have many different go-to-market ecosystem partners. We have I mentioned over 1,000 certified and trained professionals in all of them to help us and help the success of our customers. So I wanted to thank you again for your time today. And Genya, I guess back to you.
No, thank you, Chris. Thank you very much. Yeah, I think we are on time, which is very impressive, being so many people. Thank you for Nozomi presentation. The next one is Alias Robotic. It's a Spanish company, early stage, and we have here today with us Alex Arriola, who is the CEO of Alias Robotics. Welcome, Alex. I think you are on mute. We can't listen you.
Okay, now.
No, it's okay.
Okay, perfect. Good afternoon, good morning also. First of all, we are really glad from Alias Robotics to be able to share some introduction about Alias Robotics. And we like to also thank Telefónica Tech mainly. Being said that, before starting my presentation, I think it was really good to have Chris from Nozomi doing his presentation, because we moved from IT cybersecurity to OT cybersecurity. And it was really good, because what we are going to explain now is totally linked with what Chris said before. we're talking about OT cybersecurity, and we know which are the big threats we have with them, not only because of the security itself, but also for safety, related to human safety, avoid accidents, and so on. So first, what was the Alias journey in the last year? Alias was born back in 2018, by the end of 2018, and there are several hints very important in this journey of ours. First of all, we have to say that we are robotic experts that jump into cybersecurity ecosystem. But this is very important, and this is one very important thing that differentiates from other companies is our robotic approach to cybersecurity. Along the years, we've been signing many partnerships. Just to highlight a couple of things, next Tuesday we'll have the opening ceremony together with Telefónica Tech of the first robotic cybersecurity lab in the world. It's going to be in Munich, and then the opening ceremony, probably in social media and so on. We will announce it and you will see it, but we also like to take the opportunity to thank Telefonica Tech for letting us to share this big opportunity with them. And the other topic very important is the last one. Now that once we already create our product, we are now in a situation where we need to internationalize our product, start closing our first partnerships, because we have to mention one thing. We're talking about robotic cybersecurity. This is just a very niche market, and exactly is the robotic endpoint. So that means that the market is still, I wouldn't say reluctant, but they don't know much about the necessity of having their robotic endpoint secured. So we are in a situation where we need to convince them, to evangelize them, and tell them which are the benefits of our product and our services. What's our mission and our vision? I mean, we have here that we need to deliver unique solution for robotic endpoints. As I said before, and later on I will explain, there's no other solutions, but it's very important to highlight that of robotic endpoints. For sure, there are solutions for robotic system, but not the devices of the robotic endpoints. And this is what Alias is doing. And to do so, our vision for the future is to become the worldwide reference in the robotic cybersecurity field. And mainly also focus, very important, on the concept of the factory of the future that is going to come, the hyper-connected one. What's our value proposition? What's the difference with other companies who are delivering, let's say, related or similar solutions? First of all, as I said before, we ensure the robotic endpoints. It's a very, very, very niche market. Many customers of ours, they are also asking us whether we can secure some other devices, but we are focusing, even we have expertise to do also other devices, but we are expert in robotics and we need to focus on this market. Right now, as I said before, that's why we can proudly say that we are the only company in the world with these specific solutions. But this doesn't mean that we cannot have synergies with other companies, with other solutions. As I said, we are covering just one small part of the total production line of a factory, which is the endpoint, the robot. But for sure, we are already working and signing different agreements with other cybersecurity solutions companies, so we can go together, we can reach together the market. And as I said, the factory of the future concept is very important for us. Hyper-connected industry with 5G technologies, sensor actuators, all kind of devices that makes possible that all devices are talking to each other and getting advantage of it. Ours is a solution that is focused in the future. Right now, we already have customers for sure, mobile robots, IoT robots like IGB, AMRs, they are very important market for us. But for the future factory, we are already putting up, just making our first steps on it. And we think that we are in the right direction just to be able to get the biggest market share as possible in the shortest time. Which are our products? First of all, we have our product, let's say it's our key product, which is the RIS, which is called the Robotic Immune System. It's based on the human immunologic system, and it's based in 5 different modules, as you can see here. A firewall, hardening solution for further protection, the logging, which is kind of a black box. We have the other model, very important, the AI, artificial intelligence, because this solution is based in, among other technologies, is also based in artificial intelligence technologies. And later on, we have a visualization module. And one of the advantages of this product that is the total flexibility we have. We are able to adapt our modules, to implement new modules. Actually, we are already working on new modules depending on the functionalities or the requirements demanded by our customers. What's other very important point about RIS is the scalability. Later on, I will show also the services our company is producing, but this product of ours is our key product, is the future of Alias Robotics, and is the RIS, the one I explained before, the smart antivirus based on artificial intelligence. What means the scalability for us? First of all, the modularity, the architecture of RIS allow us to work with all kind of robotic brands and models. We need to develop each brand because each one has its own operating system, its own architecture, but we are able to work with them. And right now, this is one of our main topics in our company. We are developing our technical department in order to develop all these robotic brands as soon as possible so we can get them into the market. But let's say that in robotics, we are agnostic because we can work with all of them, with all the brands and models in the market. It's also a solution that can be installed remotely. That means this is a very big advantage for us because we can easily install as many product as we want in one single customer, and this also helping us in order to get more scalability. The last but not least is that once the product is developed, as I said before, we can install on all the robots that are used. That this makes the installation and the cost of installation really simple and cost effective. Beside this product that, as I said, is our main, let's say, our star product, we also have services that probably many of cybersecurity companies we are already offering. But as I said before, always focus on robotic endpoints. It's a very niche market. Threat models, red teamings, pen testing, and later on we have also the cybersecurity consultancy. These are very important because right now the main robot manufacturers in the world, they're already approaching to us. They almost all of them, they want to analyze which is their vulnerability level in their robots. And it's really a good signal for us because maybe 2 years ago, 1.5 years ago, they were not too interested on that. But now we see that they're getting a lot of awareness on the impact that not having an OT network secured. Well, about market and competitors, we all heard about robotics, both industrial, also collaborative robotics. This is a huge market. It's a huge market that is increasing every year, every month. according to the World Economic Forum, by 2025, we'll have the same number of humans working together with the same number of robots. That can give us a brief overview or what's the market we are focusing on. And here we can see some figures, and at the end, the important thing is the robot cybersecurity market. It can reach to more than 2.4 billion US dollars. Keeping on our competitors, as we said, it's a unique solution ours regarding robotic endpoints. Another very big advantage is compatible with all brands. We're already 2 years ahead of our competitors, for sure. We know that we'll have our competitions in, let's say, in a medium term, which is not bad for us because that means that awareness is getting higher and higher. So our customers, our leads, they will need robotic endpoint cybersecurity solutions. And also, let's say that according to the standards that we hope that in the next years regarding OT devices, they will be more tough and somehow and someday they will be also mandatory. We are also working in order to certificate our product. The way we work, business model and forecast. I don't know if this is something that need to be shown in this meeting because I didn't see any other did it. But anyway, just to show just a couple of things. We are like other traditional antivirus. We have a year licenses that we renew it every year. We have one license per robotic controller with a 1 month free trial. And our sales channels, this is very important. We have different go-to-market strategies. One of them is we go directly with end users, but as an SAS, as a software, as a service company, we are already closing our first agreements with main distributors, software distributors in the world, and also with robot manufacturers and even with integrators. Integrators are the ones who, like big integrator like Siemens, for example, that are the ones that installed all the robotic and automatization lines in the customer's facilities. Well, and this is the forecast till 2025. As you see, we have 2 main income resources. One is services, as I explained before, and the other is the risk. It's a product, it's our artificial intelligence, technology-based antivirus. As you can see, our efforts are going, I will be focused on risk more and more. So our target now is to close as many agreements and partnerships as we can and get the biggest market share possible in the shortest time. And this is briefly my presentation, and thanks again to Telefónica Tech and all other attendees.
Thank you, Alex. We listen about it's like the future is really coming. You know, it's still small, but you know, it's like that we are already living in this almost science fiction movie that we see. Thank you. So we are on time. We are 10 minutes ahead, and I would like to welcome our last company to the stage. It's CounterCraft. It's a Spanish company, and we have here with us today Amin Gilani, CounterCraft's Chief Growth Officer. Welcome, Amin.
Hi, thank you so much for inviting me. So my name is Amin Gilani. I just wanted to check: are you able to see my screen right now? Okay, there we are. Thank you. Okay, so my name is, hold up, that's not it. Okay, there we go. Okay, so my name is Amin Gilani, and my background is working at NSA. So even though our company is based in northern Spain in San Sebastian, I am based in the US. I live in Dallas, Texas, and my background is mostly in threat intelligence. I led cybersecurity at Goldman Sachs for several years, focused mostly on red teaming and threat intelligence. I also worked at NSA for quite some time, and really led the threat intelligence side at Homeland Security for many years, for whenever the Office of Personnel Management breach happened, whenever Postal Service, there's plenty of incidents that happened. And one thing that we always lacked was good threat intelligence. Even working in the SOC, we would purchase a lot of threat intelligence feeds, but there was a couple problems with it, right? The fact that a lot of these indicators, these malicious sites or files, they'd only be used once in an incident and never used again, right? So a lot of the intelligence that we were purchasing and buying wasn't actually very helpful. And that's how I kind of came across CounterCraft years later when I realized what they were doing. So essentially what CounterCraft is focused on is creating, it's essentially a threat intelligence company powered by deception. So creating decoy networks and kind of fake environments to lure in threat actors to understand how they're operating, what TTPs, what tactics, techniques, and procedures they're using, what types of tools they're deploying in the environment, so we can get an advanced look at how they're behaving in your environment, so you can take proper countermeasures against it. Just a little history of the company. It was founded by David Barroso, who is a former Telefonica employee, and also Fernando and Dan. And even though we're in a pretty early phase, I would say we're between a seed and a Series A phase, company. We've raised $9 million so far. And some of these folks that you'll see down here, we also have investment from In-Q-Tel. And if you're familiar with In-Q-Tel, they are a intelligence community in the U.S. backed venture capital firm, and what they're doing is investing in companies so we can have more depths and more business with other companies. Other organizations within the federal government. So it's actually helped us a lot in order to expand our deception product offering into these government environments. One of the things that you'll also see is that we have an active client. We have a great engagement with the Defense Innovation Unit. The Defense Innovation Unit was an organization set up by the Department of Defense in the U.S. and their main job was to fuse a lot of these great innovative companies that are out here focused mostly on cybersecurity and getting them to quickly work with the Department of Defense. So quickly streamlining the contract negotiations and being able to quickly have products on premise for these organizations. And as you guys know, if anyone has worked in the federal government, we know all of that it takes forever to do these procurements. So DIU is a vehicle to expedite it and really work with it. And because the whole notion of deception in cybersecurity, it's been born out of the intelligence community and as well as military, which is why a lot of our clients are really focused on that have strong military heritage. So we work with NATO. We also work with Europol and Interpol, as well as GCHQ is where we also had some time working with their accelerator for some time. So it's great to see that our heritage really does come from military. Okay, and so as I mentioned, threat intelligence is essentially broken, right? And the way we're creating our deception networks is very similar to honeypots. If you guys are familiar with honeypots, it's essentially creating decoy machines and decoy environments so that we can lure in threat actors and understand what they're doing, right? So instead of actually attacking a real payment system like the Swift payment platform, what we can do is create a dummy payment system and platform that looks very real, that looks exactly like the way a message would be sent within the Swift payment platform. And we're creating these environments to see how these threat actors can hack into it. And it's not just, so there's a couple of things we can do. It can be based on just discovery or scanning that the adversary is doing, but we also deploy breadcrumbs too. And what I mean by breadcrumbs is that we can send out a list of compromised files, and some of those files or credentials will be access to our honeypot environments. And so essentially we're planting these breadcrumbs in nefarious forums that are on the deep and dark web, so that threat actors can get an understanding of these credentials that are out there, and hopefully they use those credentials to get into our honeypot environment. And the thing about honeypots is that it's normally seen as an external, product to be used, but we have the capability to also do honeypots internal of the network, so that we can catch insider threat actors as well, who are trying to who are trying to gain access into mergers and acquisitions documents, or critical databases, or employment forums and stuff like that. So there's a lot of things that we can deploy externally and internally to catch bad actors. And so, as I was mentioning, these breadcrumbs, we can deploy them anywhere. Like I said, internally or externally, but also the point is to attract main actors into our environment. And once these environments are created, what we're doing is making sure that our deception network that we've created looks very real. So we'll have real machines, we'll have AWS servers in there, we'll have virtual machines, so that whenever a threat actor gets into this environment, it looks very real. And once they see that it's very real, they feel more comfortable of deploying their tools, establishing connections with their command and control, and making them feel very comfortable in it, so that we can extract more data. We have a couple of other ways to understand how the threat actor is acting. So, like I said, it's all about making sure that the threat actor is very comfortable in this environment, and so that there are things that we'll also do. We have an active sense a capability. What we're doing is having browsers pop up, having commands being run on these machines, so that when the threat actor is in there, he or she feels like this environment is actually being active. Because whenever I ran red teaming at Goldman, one of the things that it was easy to point out a honeypot, because the connections weren't real. They weren't real programs or portfolios running. So one of the things that we really focused on is making sure that every environment that a person gets into is very real. And so that, and in this case, we can also do a lot of attack management. So understanding what the threat actor wants to get out of their to get out of the compromised machines that they think they're in, and so that we can understand what type of CVEs that they're exploiting, and what types of what types of tools they're using. And what we're doing from that is actually extracting all that data and being able to put it into context. Because it's great to kind of trap a threat actor, but what can you get out of that afterwards? And so what we're doing is we're understanding the tools, the techniques, and the procedures that they're using, and being able to extract those TTPs. So saying that this threat actor was really interested in ransomware, and they had these TTPs available to them. We also establishing their indicators of compromise. So when they establish their C2 nodes, and they're trying to establish connection to exfiltrate files, we're able to get those right away and be able to block them immediately. And so I'm just going to forward up a little bit. So as I was mentioning about breadcrumbs, here's a quick slide on it. There's a lot of things that we can detect. And also, it's not just credentials, it's a numerous different other things to lure in those threat actors. Sorry, let me just jump through here real quick. So as I was mentioning, once you have an understanding of the indicators of compromise and TTPs, we're able to actually push those alerts out immediately in real time, right? So it's great to understand what a threat actor is doing in a fake environment, but really what you want to do is understand those tools and being able to block that in your real environment, which is why we have integrations with Splunk, with IBM, with Alien Vault, with several other organizations. What we can do is block those immediately, and that's a huge win for us. And one of the best things that we do is regarding providing context within these honeypot environments. What we're doing is gathering these the TTPs and behaviors, and we're able to actually sum up what type of threat actor this is. Because a lot of times when you have a threat actor in a threat environment, in a honeypot environment, it's impossible to tell, or sometimes it's very hard to tell, that is it a nation state actor? Is this a critical Chinese threat actor that's trying to obtain information? or is it a script kiddie? So based on these tools and based on the TTPs that we're able to discover, we're able to hypothesize what type of threat actor this is. So based on a certain malware, we can confidently identify that this is a Russian threat actor or not. We're not necessarily doing attribution, but based on tools, we can summarize that this is a nation-state adversary associated with a certain government or not, which is very powerful. I would say that to summarize, one of the best things that we have done is really get context from this. And so that's why whenever we talk about deception, a lot of folks are interested in deception, but really the main thing that we gather out from it is threat intelligence. Our product can be done on-prem or in the cloud. So we can run active campaigns. We can deploy them extremely quickly within minutes to try to lure in ransomware types of activity, to create a VPN attack type environment. So there's a lot of great ways for us to deploy our technology. I would also say that one of the best things about our clients is that we have focused mostly on Department of Defense and military type clients within the first half of this year. We're now seeing that a lot of banks are really interested in deception technology too within this approach of threat intelligence. And so what we're marketing mostly towards are threat intelligence teams that are in more advanced organizations, and that would be financial and retail, as well as technology. So as we're expanding our capability within other organizations beyond just military, we would say that mostly with the financial impact, I think those are the ones who are helping the most. As for the US team and the Spain team, I would say that we have about 30 people based in San Sebastian, and then we have about 3 people, almost going on 4, in the US. So we're still expanding pretty largely in the US now. That's all I have for today. And then actually, I'd also say the last thing that we have is that when it comes to context, one of the things that's great about us is that we've also built in the MITRE ATT&CK framework. And within the MITRE ATT&CK framework, anytime a threat actor is doing a certain thing within those TTPs, we're actually highlighting it within the MITRE framework to see where you're vulnerable and what the threat actor is doing. So it really monitors a lot of the great things that we can capture from a threat actor being within our honeypot environment. That's all I have for today. I'll give it back to Ginia. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Amin. And thank you for Ignacio, Roberto, Barry, Sebastian, Chris, Alex for coming here today and sharing your companies with us and your solutions. I always get super excited when I listen to all the cool things that you're doing, and we actually help us feel safer. So thank you for all of you listening to us, and have a nice day or a nice evening. Thank you. Bye.